welcome back. So today I figured I'd tell you about what the medications are actually like now that we got to the point where we started IVF. So the first thing that you do is you go to a class where they teach you how to give the medications. It's mostly injections. So they go over each type of injection, they give you a calendar of what to expect, and when I get there, it's like all couples. Everybody's in a couple. The seats are literally set up with like 2 seats next to each other, all down a row like it's a classroom, but it's like 2 and 2. And of course, everyone else's significant other is there, but John couldn't go because he had to work. I didn't realize that everyone else would have a significant other there, but it just made me feel like so alone. Like, okay, everybody's paired off in teams and no one picked you, you know?
Hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you.
I was there, I was like, okay, that's fine, I can handle this. Not to mention I had fallen like a couple days before that and I had a huge scab on my face. So I looked like a victim of like domestic violence while I'm sitting there alone at this meeting. But that's besides the point. They went over the injections, which injecting yourself with needles is hard enough, but you actually have to mix up the meds. And I don't have a lot of experience with this. I've drawn out meds like once or twice, but most of the time nurses do it for me at work, and it's not part of our training process to become a doctor at all. So they show you the vials and then your sterile saline, and you have to draw up the medications. I'll show you that later on tonight. I'll like record myself giving my injections and put it in here later so you can actually see me mixing the medications and giving them to myself. But the class was informative yet overwhelming. So I leave that, and then a couple days later the meds come in the mail. It comes in like a gigantic box because half of them have to stay on ice all the time. So this huge box comes and you have to gotta figure out where to put it all. Like I literally used my entire like fruit and veggie drawers, both drawers full of meds that need to be refrigerated. And then the other medications that don't need to be refrigerated, like I tried to organize on like a hanging wall organizer thing. Put all my needles in there. And they also send you a sharps container, alcohol swabs, all the stuff you need, except for 4x4s. They don't send you 4x4s, which after you give injections, you bleed a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. So that's one thing I would consider getting on your own. They're just something sterile that you can use to like put a little bit of pressure and stop the bleeding in the areas of your injections. So the first day came that I had to give my injections, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. I had to work that day, so I got up early because you're supposed to give the medications at the same time every day. So I got up at 5:30 in the morning because I had to be at work by 7, and shower, did all that stuff, then go to give myself medications. And I'm like, okay, I remember how to do this. I'm cleaning all the little vials before I draw them up. But somehow I put the first needle on too tight to the syringe. And so I drew up my medication and like drip the saline and put it in the powder, and then you like mix it until the powder dissolves. Again, I'll show you later. And then you switch the needle to a smaller needle to use to inject yourself. And they're like all sub-Q injections, so they all go like in your stomach, as you can see here by the nice bruises I have from other injections. You kind of squeeze your fat roll and inject the meds right in there. So I was getting ready to do that. I try to unscrew the needle and I cannot get it off. I had somehow put on that first needle to draw it up way too tight. And I was struggling and struggling in the process. Like I stabbed myself in the finger like a couple times, really trying to get this off because this medication is not cheap, you guys. I was fortunate enough that like our first cycle of meds was covered by insurance, but that was it. And our first cycle used up the entire insurance coverage we had. So you don't want to waste a vial of medication because it's literally like one little vial is like $300. So I'm sitting there struggling because like I can't waste this medication, I can't do it, but then I'm also looking at the clock like I'm gonna be late for work. And I'm already missing so much work because of our ultrasound appointments and the blood draws and all this other stuff that I was like, okay, I just have to face it that I messed this one up. And I had to throw away my first vial of medication and do it again. So I mix it all again. This time I make sure not to put the needle on quite so tight. If anything, I put it on a little bit too loose and may have lost a little of the medication. But I draw it up and then you go to give it to yourself. And again, I have put IVs in, I've given injections before, I've sutured kids up, but there's something different about poking yourself with a needle. I don't know what it was, but it took me a couple minutes. Like, you're sitting there, deep breathing, like, okay, I got this, I can do it. Like, I cleaned my little area with an alcohol pad, I'm ready to go. And all that, like, pent up anxiety is there. So I finally inject myself with the medication, and it burned quite a bit. The first one I did was called Cetrotide, and sorry, cats are fighting. What? It was Cetrotide, and it was part of an estrogen priming protocol. So I actually was wearing estrogen patches and giving myself the Cetrotide, and I did the Cetrotide for 3 days of shots, and that was it at first. And the patch, like, we changed every other day for a couple days. But the Cetrotide, my skin reacted to it. So I had, like, at first, like, a small, like, red area around the injection site, and it just kept growing. And then I can remember, like, it would itch. It really itched. And then I kept looking, like, every time I'd go to the bathroom later that day, that red mark was still there. I think it was still red 12 hours later, the first day that I did it. But I had to keep on going, give it every day. So after that first, like, estrogen priming protocol, I went in again for more vaginal ultrasounds. It became like a 2 to 3 times a week thing. Blood work and vaginal ultrasounds every week. So they would check to see how I was doing, and then after my period and everything, I started more injections. So then you do 2 injections at nighttime, which is Menopur, and you're either using Gonal F or Follistim. The first time I used Gonal F. And you did those injections at night, again going in for ultrasounds pretty frequently. And then once they saw that my follicles were growing, they started me on more Cetrotide in the morning. So then you end up doing 3 injections a day. Cetrotide in the morning, and those 2 other meds I mentioned in the evening. So 3 shots a day, all time sensitive, want to be like same time every morning, same time in the evening, which was really great when you work swing shift and you have to try to give your medications at work. But so that is all happening, and then you're wondering, like, what are the side effects of these medications besides the pain of injections and the local irritation? Well, they are literally hormones, so I'm stabbing myself with hormones, so I become the definition of hormonal.
What are you? I am the hormone monstrous. Listen to me. You want to shoplift lipstick. You want to listen to Lana Del Rey on repeat while you cut up all your t-shirts. You want to scream at your mother and then laugh at her tears.
Okay? I'm not a person that cries often. I get emotional from time to time watching a sad movie, or when something terrible happens, I obviously cry. But I'm not someone that breaks out into tears a lot. These medications, I swear to God, I think I cried almost every day at times. Like, and I just feel sad. I'm tired, I'm sad, I get headaches more frequently, and I cry uncontrollably. Like, I don't even know why I'm crying sometimes. Like, I'm just crying, and I can't stop.
Now let's fling ourselves onto the bed and cry so hard no sound comes out.
It's very frustrating. But hopefully it'll all be worth it in the end, right? I'm wondering, what side effects do any of you guys get from your medications, other people who are doing this? And how did you get through it? Like, what were some coping techniques that you guys had? I know for me, I spent a lot of time with one of my good friends, Laura, going to her place and just hanging out with her and her son. And they usually cheered me up, especially when John was gone. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys how I mix my meds and give my meds. Excuse my background here. This is like the only place I could find with enough space to kind of get the meds and me in the picture without John's expertise. So The first thing I normally do is I take my Felistim out of the fridge and let it like get slightly back to room temperature for a second. So the Menopure comes in these little vials, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's like a powder inside. The first thing you do, you pop off the cap. My dose is 2 of these. Last time it was 3. And then you have 1 little vial of saline. So you take an alcohol swab, if it will open. You clean the top of each of them. Okay. Then you have something called a Q cap that you use. They make it look so easy to get out of this thing, but it's really not. And it's like, don't touch the inside, try to keep everything sterile. And you have a 3 ml syringe. So, excuse me. Oh, that one actually came out easy. So you screw that on there, and the first thing you do is you get your sterile saline. So you push down, and then you draw up 1 cc or 1 ml of saline. So you see I have a big air bubble in there, so I'm gonna kind of put it back, draw back again. All right, so 1 cc is when the stopper hits the line, not the big black thing. Okay, so that is the saline drawn up. Then I push that in to the powder. Then you kind of twist it, and you can see it go from powder to liquid. So once that's liquid, I again invert the syringe, draw it back up, and then make sure you get all of it. Switch to our other powder, same thing. Pushing it in, twisting to mix it up. Inverting and drawing it all back up into the syringe, and you should end up with about the same amount as we started with. So the next step is you take off this Q cap. It is sharp on the inside, so watch your fingers. I normally try to get some of these air bubbles out before I actually put the needle on. Make sure your air is all at the top. I don't go all the way flush, but. Then we do our needle. This is only a 27 gauge 1/2 inch needle, so it's pretty small. Okay, then before I do anything with that, I need to find a spot on my stomach to give the meds. So you can kind of see, as I showed before, my battle wounds currently. So, let's see, I guess I'll go above today. Kind of hurts a little bit more above, but it's the only spots I have right now that aren't bruised. So I'm going to clean it off right here. And then in anticipation for my next shot, I'm going to clean. Yeah, I guess I'll just do top for both today. I'll clean this other side too. Okay, so then you make sure it's nice and dry. In the meantime, I pop the top off. So tiny needle, can you even see it? Little needle for this one. And again, make sure all your air bubbles are at the top since I set it down. Push on the plunger to get a drop of liquid. Then you squeeze your fat, okay? You get a chunk of your fat, and 1, 2, 3, you go for it. Normally you try to inject it pretty slowly, and I like to keep my skin still pinched. I think it hurts a little bit less this way. But just keep going. once you get the plunger all the way in, which I almost am, you want to make sure you hold it there for just a little bit. Make sure you get all the meds out. And you come out. Make sure you recap it. And then you have your 2x2 that I was talking about, or 4x4. I have 2x2s that I took from work. But you can get them, I think, at like CVS or Mite or anything. So my next med is this Follistim pen. Last time I was on Gonal Elf, and I actually liked that pen better. I thought it was a little bit more user-friendly, and it came, like you've got a pen per each 300 cc amount, or no, it was 600. It was 600 cc's per pen. With this, I get little vials that I have to put in myself. So right now I have one in there. We'll see if I have enough in this single dose. Otherwise, I'll have to grab another one, and then I can show you how we change the vial inside. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take my alcohol swab and clean the top of it, because the medication's already in there. And then there's a dial here, and I turn it to my dose. So my dose of this is 375, which is not convenient, as each of these also has 600. So if I give myself the full 375 one day, then the next day I give the rest of this vial and have to give myself a second shot with another vial. 300, 375. So then it comes with these little needles. Again, these ones are pretty small. Big needles come later on in the cycle. Alright, so you twist it on, pop it off, needles there, pull your thing out. Okay, so I dried off this side for this one. So I'm gonna pinch my skin again, and 1, 2, 3. Ouch. And you push. I find the slower I go, the less I bruise, but I'm not very patient. Alright. Same thing, I kind of hold it in there for a little bit. I probably should have left that one a little bit longer. Okay, so then again, you recap your needle and you twist it off. This still has a tiny bit left in it. So I am still gonna save it because liquid gold stuff's expensive. And it needs to go back in the fridge. And then I just have to dispose of my sharps in my sharps container. So that is pretty much it. Thank you for checking it out. Let me know if you have any other questions about mixing of the meds. So those were the meds and the hormones and everything that happened during it, all the side effects. If you guys have any other questions about them, please let me know. I just kind of wanted to let you know what that process was like for me. I know a lot of people had their husbands or significant others give their injections, but like I said, John's not home 3 days a week. So I have given myself every single subcutaneous injection. So all the shots in my stomach I have done myself. It is doable, it does suck, but it's doable.
This is what women do. We suck up all the bullshit that the world dumps up on us and keep smiling through it all in our boxy ass dresses.
So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. And as always, like our video, feel free to subscribe below and ask us questions. All right, see you next time.